What is up, guys? Welcome back to Just the Guy on My Lunch Break. My name is Corey. I will be your host today. Man, I've got some stuff to tell you guys. So, as you know, I'm always very transparent and honest on this channel, probably to a fault. And I've kind of talked about the fact that where I'm at in my Kratom journey is I'm enjoying the journey right now. I feel comfortable with where I'm at, and I've always kind of had this mentality until something happens to change that. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to budge. I'm just a stubborn guy like that. Well, I've had a couple of things happen, and I want to be completely honest and transparent about those. The first thing I'm going to tell you is more like an inspiring story, and there's a lot of people out there that come from a background of faith, whether you want to call that church or whether it's just a personal spiritual relationship that you have with a higher power, whatever that is. Most people have that, and there's a lot of people out there that don't really talk about that, but they have that in their past and in their history. I'm one of those people. As you guys know, I was a preacher's kid until I was 14 years old. My dad came out of the ministry, but I did grow up in the church. I've actually written and produced a gospel album, of which all of my songs are still online to this day. So when I get to know you guys and trust you guys a little bit more, I may even guide you in the direction of being able to hear some of that music if you're interested. That's not what this is about. But the first story I want to tell is something that happened very recently, that kind of gave me some pause and made me sit and think, and kind of second guess my relationship with Kratom. And then the second thing I'm going to get around to and tell you, it's just flat out embarrassing, to be completely honest with you. Well, let me rephrase that. It should be embarrassing. I'm 47 years old with, a husband and I'm a husband and two kids. I'm a husband and have two kids is what I meant to say. So I don't get embarrassed really easily these days. So I'm not really embarrassed, which is why I'm going to tell you guys about it. Because it also is a teachable moment, a teachable story that when I tell it, people are either going to go, well, wow, I didn't know that. Or they're going to say, yep, that's true. That's true. You probably didn't think about that. Now you're thinking about it. So either way, I'm going to tell you about those two things. Before I get started, if you enjoy the channel, just hit the subscribe button. That's all I ask. It helps me out. And I'm going to try to get right onto it. So first thing that happened is, like I said, I'm a person of faith. More recently, in the past few years, my wife and I both have kind of been prodigals. If you don't know what that means, it means, you're kind of running away from your faith. We haven't been into church in several years. But I spent a lot of my younger days and a period of my adulthood, very active in the church. Okay. But to be quite honest, it's been 7 years or more since I've really graced the doors of a church. I'm almost ashamed to say that, but it's just the truth. Not that I still don't have faith, but I haven't been cultivating it by way of going to church, if that makes sense. Okay, so my wife and I are both kind of in that same boat. My wife went to Christian elementary, Christian middle school, Christian high school. She went to a Christian college of Liberty University. She was in church every week. My wife is a singer. We're both musicians. So she sang in church. She sang in the choir. We've sang on praise teams. We've been there, done that. Church life and spirituality, faith, whatever you want to call it, is nothing new to either one of us. But the past several years, we kind of have been prodigals, or running from our faith. And for most of you probably know what I mean when I say prodigal, and I won't go straight into it, but there's a story about a prodigal son in the Bible, where the son leaves and he goes out and he does his own thing, living his life, seeing the world, experiencing new things, not all of them good. holy things, just experiencing life in general, and tells the story about when the prodigal son came back to his father. He had gone out there, he had seen everything he needed to see, none of which brought him happiness in the end. So with a humble attitude, he shows back up at his home, and the father, who loves him, opens his arms and accepts him back into the fold, back into the home. And it's, more so a story that just illustrates the love of God, basically. So anyway, the other night I told my wife, I said, I want to start praying again. And I want to not just start praying, but I want to start praying around River, which is my infant son, because I want him to grow up around it and understand that, prayer is important. We're not going to church right now, which I'm hoping to change that soon, but I want him to grow up around that and be comfortable with, the faith, and understand that he can call on God and pray when, or at any time, whether, it be in thanks or prayer in concern, like you're asking, for God to bless you, whatever it is. So I'm always, anytime a prayer ever happens, I'm the one that does it. So I asked my wife, would you like to pray? And she responds, no, I'd rather you do it. I don't like praying out loud. You're better with your words when it comes to stuff like that. I'd rather not. And of course I wanted to say, let God handle that. There's nothing wrong with being out loud and overt when you're asking something. Anyway, I didn't go into all that, and I did what I thought a good husband and a father would do. I prayed. We prayed over my son. We just prayed about our lives in general, and didn't think much about it, right? Well, then skipping forward to about 16 hours later, the next afternoon, which was yesterday afternoon, get a call from my wife, and she's like, I got a kind of an interesting story. And I was like, okay, all right, what do you got? And she starts telling me that my wife is in sales, and she had gone to a customer's establishment, and she had gone there to meet with the customer or whatever. Well, on her way in to the establishment, she sees, kind of out of the corner of her eye, over in the bushes, like hidden amongst some other rocks, a rock that had something painted on it. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is not like, oh my God, because people have seen those. And I've seen them before in the past as well, but it's rare that you see one, right? And so she saw it from a distance, just out of the corner of her eye, didn't think much about it, went on in, because she's in a hurry, right? So she goes on in, talks to her customer, does whatever she needs to do, comes back out, gets in her car, actually puts her car in reverse and starts to back out, and she says that something drew her back to go and to pick up the rock that she had seen earlier. So she does. She pulls back forward, puts her car in park, goes, and she gets the rock. And she reads the rock, and so I may be paraphrasing, but this about what it says is, be the reason the devil runs in fear. Pray. So that's what this rock said, and then it had Romans 28:6, a Bible verse up under it. Okay. And she calls me about this. She's like, wow, this is crazy. I saw one of these, what do you call it? A God rock. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And she asked me about the Bible verse that was on it. Neither one of us were familiar with the Bible verse. I don't know. I know a few verses here and there, but I certainly don't know the whole Bible by heart. So we were like, well, let's see what that is. And I was near my computer at work, of course, so I went and I looked up Romans 28:6. And basically, Romans 28:6, and I am paraphrasing, but in a nutshell, it says, just as we would ask God for help, we do not know what to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes and tells us what to say through wordless groans. So that's paraphrasing. I don't have to spell it out for you guys. Basically what the phrase is saying is, God will give you the words. Don't be scared to pray, but don't be scared, well, I don't know what to pray for, I don't know what to say, because God will give you the words. And this is 16 hours after my wife and I have that conversation about, hey, would you like to pray? No, you're better at that. I'm not good with my words when it comes to prayer. I'd rather you do that. The very next day, my wife, the one that said that, finds this rock that tells her, God will tell you what to pray for. God will give you the words. Don't be afraid to pray over your life. That's how you defeat the devil. You defeat the enemy, right? So, this is who I am, guys. So if this is going too religious for you and you're like, oh, I don't do that. Hey, it is what it is. This is just a guy on my lunch break. This is my thoughts. This is my life as it's happening. You guys are getting a glimpse into it real time. So, if this isn't for you, you're welcome to, watch something else. But this is what's going on in my life right now. So I don't know about you guys, and if I'm not typically a superstitious sort of person to where I'm like, oh, that's a sign. That's a sign. There's those people out there that, anything's a sign. Like somebody standing 10 feet away from them farts. Oh, that's a sign that, I need to put a butt plug up my butt or whatever. Just there's people that just, they think everything that happens to them in life is a sign. I'm not really that guy. But I'm also not blind, and I'm also not an idiot. And it is definitely one of those things where I think God put that in our path because he knows my faith is weak right now. He knows that I'm struggling right now. But I did pray because I'm reaching out to God right now, because I feel like there's something I really need to overcome in my life, right? And so I reached out to him for that. And his response was clear. It was clear, and it was very obvious, to the point where he put my wife in a situation to where she would find this stone that told her an exact response and answer to what she had said about not praying the night before. And my wife had literally said, well, I don't want to pray. You do that. I'm not good with my words. I don't know what to pray about. And then literally the next day she finds a random rock at a customer's business that she only goes to this customer. She's only been to this customer a couple of times. It's not like she goes to this customer's establishment every day. And she could have gone to this establishment any day. And then on top of that, she could have just walked right by the bushes and not even looked down and seen it. She happens to see this rock that tells her the exact words of, don't worry about what to pray for. Don't worry about what to say. God's got you on that. So it was just too obvious. And it was overtly obvious that he was trying to tell me something with that. And so that happened. And then that's the first story. And so my ears kind of perked up, and my heart kind of opened a little bit. And I was like, okay. All right. because I have one area in my life right now that I would consider a weakness, and that is my kratom use. Is kratom use an area of weakness or frailty for everyone? Well, I can't speak on that, and only each individual person can speak on that. For me, it is. It absolutely is. And the reason is because I'm an addict and I have an addictive mindset, right? And I've been addicted before in the past to opiates and, other things, but, mainly opiates. And so, if I'm being honest with myself, completely honest, which I try to do, I have to be completely honest in the sense that that is an area of weakness for me. And I literally consider that my only area of weakness in my life right now. I'm a hard worker. I feel like I'm a good father. I feel like I'm a good husband. You know, brother, son, whatever label I get in this world, I feel like I do the best that I can at that. But I have that one area. Okay. So that happened. Okay. And this next one is the one that this is going to be a little bit more lighthearted, this story. But this one's a little more, should be embarrassing. So my wife and I last night, laying in bed, and you know, we're trying to get to where the baby doesn't lay in the bed with us at all throughout the night. We're trying to get it to where he sleeps in his crib all night, which is, you know, a few feet away from the bed. But it'll, you know, make it to where he's not in between us in our marital bed, because for one thing, that's not the safest thing to do. You know, which he's older now, so I wouldn't be so concerned about, you know, him, you know, somebody rolling over and suffocating him. I mean, you'd have to, you know, I'm not 400 pounds and have a CPAP machine and sleep like a freaking rock. I'm not, you know, I'm 190 pounds. I'm a fit guy, you know, and I sleep on edge already anyway. I'm really easy. I'm a light sleeper. I'm really easy to wake up. So was my wife. So I wouldn't be so much worried about that, but we just don't want him to get in the habit of staying in our bed all the time. And it's our marital bed. You know, we want to be able to be married some, you know, snuggle up against one another, this and that and the other. So we put him in his crib last night, and to our surprise, we're like, yes, he fell asleep. So I'm just gonna make this kind of short. So, you know, no baby, you know, there's not a lot of intimacy going on with myself and my wife these days. There's just not, because we're such busy people. And then on top of it, for the first 7 months of my son's life, for a large portion of the night, he's been sleeping, you know, in the bed with us for a portion of the night. And so there just hasn't been a lot of intimacy going on. So last night, you know, we're laying there kind of, you know, getting close, a little, you know, a little rub-a-dub-dub here and there. And, you know, this is my way of just completely beating around the bush of the fact that we were about to get down. It's been a while. We were about to get down. And the thing about it is, I felt no level of horniness. Zero. That's how much horniness I felt. Now listen, I'm 47. You know, my testosterone is not what it was even 10 years ago, if I'm being completely transparent. So I'm not some sex crazed maniac anyway, because I'm a 47-year-old guy. But when I say this was how much desire I had to have sex, it literally was one of those things where I wanted to have sex simply because it had been so long. I just needed to feel like a man, and needed to know that I could still have sex with my own wife. There was no desire or zero horniness on my part to do the act, okay? And but you know, I was gonna, regardless, because it's just, that's something that's important in a marriage, right? And it's especially important to people who have a young baby and never get a chance to spend time alone together anymore. So, you know, a little rub-a-dub-dub, we start doing things that normally would have made me horny. I was not getting horny, and was not getting an erection either. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it, put it all out there. It just was obvious right out of the gate, this shit ain't going to work. This ain't going to work. It ain't going to happen. And, guys, somebody told me the other day on this channel, I feel like eventually you'll get tired of the going back and forth. Eventually something's going to happen to make you want to put it down, put the kratom down. And it's really interesting that I also just received that message a few days ago, and then this happened last night. I pride myself in being a good lover, okay? And despite being a 47-year-old guy, I'm fit, I'm in shape, I can do my thing, even as a 47-year-old guy, right? This hurt my pride a little bit, hurt my manhood a little bit. The fact that I wasn't really able to please my woman like I wanted to, you know? And, you know, I laid there in bed, and I know it's, and listen, I know for a fact that it's the kratom. 100% sure. Because I go to sleep, you know, wake up 5 hours later at 4 o'clock in the morning when the baby starts crying, he wants to eat something, wake up, and my boy is like, bing! And when I say my boy, I mean, you know, my boy was like, bing! So there ain't no physical problem going on, you know? This ain't no impotence, okay? This is kratom. This is, what is it? Kratom-induced impotence is what this is, okay? And that's a problem. Damn, Skippy, that's a problem. And, you know, it's one of those things where one of the reasons it took me a while for it to really hit me like a ton of bricks is because there just ain't a lot of intimacy going on at my house anyway right now. You know, just because we're such busy people, we both work full time, got a little baby. We don't have, you know, a lot of people in our lives who, both of our parents, you know, my mother and father are pushing 80 years old. My dad just turned 80. My mother-in-law is, you know, almost 70 years old, and she's got her own health issues with back problems and stuff. So we have very loving, supportive families, and we're really close with our families, but we don't have a lot of family members who can say, hey, you know, bring the baby over. Bring my grandbaby over. They can stay with me tonight. You know, at least not at the age he is now, where he can't crawl, he can't walk, you know, and he's completely codependent upon someone else to do everything for him. You know, my parents aren't in the health where they can be carrying him around all the time, this and that, or my mother-in-law, right? So we're in a situation where we've got the baby all the time. We've got him all the time. And it's fine. I mean, we love him, you know, and that's just part of being parents, but we just don't get any time away from him, you know. So we finally did get a couple of minutes away from him last night when he was in his crib, and then it was a complete bust for me. And I don't mean the kind of bust you're thinking about either. I mean like crash and burn. That kind of bust. Anyway, I just don't get embarrassed anymore. Sorry, guys. I just don't. But listen, that is a big problem with kratom. And I can tell you this, the amount, you know, I've shared recently that I've been taking the powder and not the capsules, that I've broken my own rule regarding that. So the amounts I'm taking right now are pretty far up there, more than I've really ever taken in the past. Because I can tell you for sure, you know, when my son was conceived, we were having a fair amount of sex during that time. I was taking kratom during that time. I was taking it every day, but I wasn't taking that much of it. You know, I was taking maybe 8 grams, 8 grams per day, something, and it was capsules. I recall when I'm on a much lesser amount, not really having any problems with that, right? I mean, you know, it does wreak a little bit of havoc on sensitivity, because it just kind of numbs you, you know, so it does mess the sensitivity up a little bit. I would find, I'm just going to go ahead and be graphic as shit. I would find that even at smaller amounts, it was taking me longer to orgasm or ejaculate. You know, it might be an extended period, but I mean, you know, for most guys, that ain't no big deal. That's a good thing. You know, you can go all night, baby, right? So I know that was kind of an issue with the smaller amounts, but it was never a situation where I couldn't maintain an erection, or something like that. And last night, I didn't even bother. I didn't even bother taking my clothes off because it just was so obvious that it wasn't happening. And you know, my wife knows. She knows that it's the kratom. She understands it wasn't her, this and that and the other. But that was just a bad feeling, you know. And I'm getting older, and while I still have some lead left in the pencil, I want to be able to make love to and have sex with my wife, and I don't want something like kratom and my hard-headed ass nature to want to continue taking the kratom. I don't want it to completely hijack my sex life. I don't. And so with that said, I'm going to be looking to make some changes, and I'm going to be looking to make those changes soon. It's almost Christmas time. I'm not trying to be completely miserable. This is something I'm not going to try to push to do anything before Christmas because I don't want to have my Christmas ruined. But just a guy on my lunch break is going to have one hell of a New Year's resolution. I'm going to have one hell of a New Year's resolution. And so follow me on that journey. And guys, you know, I don't know for sure whether I'll completely go off of it, or I might just do something where I cut myself back to where I just reward myself once a day with taking it in the evenings or something like that. But to be honest, I may not even do that because it's obvious that I'm not a person that can really control that, and I always end up edging up to where I'm taking a larger amount. So this time, more than likely, I'm going to be looking to just completely come off of it. Keep following me, keep following my journey. I'm not ever going to be in judgment of other people who still use kratom. If you still use and I quit, I want you to still listen to my channel. I still want to hear about what's going on with you. I'm still here to help and support people who are in the kratom pickle, in the kratom trap, and they may want to change it for some reason. And I'm still going to do all that, and I'm still going to do this channel. I'll still be here for you guys. But I've just had a couple of things to happen that have kind of changed my perspective in a couple of hardcore ways recently, and I would be an idiot to not see those things. A blind man could see that God's trying to tell me something. Oh, come on, bro. Come on. I made your wife find a rock that literally directly answered her concern the night before. You can't even make love to your wife, bro. Need I say more? You know. Anyway, damn, I'm glad I don't get embarrassed. I love you guys. I gotta go. Like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you love this sort of transparent, brutal honesty. All right. Have a good day, guys. See you next time. Peace.